Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be an update for Pan Those Eyeshadows. You are getting me at the very end of a very long day. It is 10 p.m. I started work at 7 a.m. and this makeup has been on all day long. So if I'm looking a little worse for wear, I apologize, but I'm trying to be better about showing up to film anyways, because I really want to update my projects. This makes me happy, and if I constantly make excuses for myself, I never sit down here to film. So the hair is up in a ponytail, the makeup's melting off, but I have a new eyeshadow to roll in today, so I need to stop procrastinating. So this is what we're doing. Pan Those Eyeshadows was originally created by Alexi, who is linked in my description box. She hasn't posted in many years, but you can watch her old playlists, which I tend to do sometimes because I find them so motivating. I am working on 4 eyeshadows. 2 of them are randomly generated from my entire eyeshadow collection. I do currently have over 1,300 eyeshadows, and 2 of my eyeshadows are selected by using a list of prompts, which Makeup by Laney created 100 prompts in a spreadsheet. So I'm randomly generating one of those prompts and then choosing a shade myself that falls in line with that. I have some focus palettes that I would really love to hit more pans in this year, so I try my best to choose from those palettes, but I feel like that's not always going to work out for me. I haven't updated this project in such a long time because I found myself sitting in this kind of like rigid schedule, like, oh, I can only film Pan Those Eyeshadows if I can get it posted for the 10th of the month, and then I wouldn't be able to do that, so I'd push it to the next month, on, and here we are. Well, guess what? It's nearly Halloween. I'm just going to film it now because I've had a rollout for quite some time. I'm gonna stop coming up with excuses and let's jump into the progress. I'm realizing I do not have my notebook down here, so we are just going to wing it. My goal is, of course, to hit pan on these eyeshadows, but if I use it 25 uses and I feel like I am not going to hit pan or I'm sick of working on it, I can roll it out. I can also roll out the eyeshadow if I hit pan in that palette on a different shade, though my focus will always be the one drawn in. I have 2 shades currently going in my Kaleidos Club Nebula palette. This is in collaboration with Angelica Nyqvist. I'm working on 2 very difficult shades in here, but I have some dips in many shades now just from having this out. It's getting a ton of use from me, and so if I hit pan in at least 2 of the shades, I will call that good. But the shades I am working on, I have Queen of Blades, which was one of Laney's prompts for a shadow that starts with the letter Q, and I'm also working on 7 of 9, and this was also a prompt, and that was a blue matte eyeshadow. I will swatch both of those out for you. These are very pigmented mattes, not easy to use on an everyday basis, but I've been having a lot of fun with them. Queen of Blades has been in the project for much longer. I have used Queen of Blades, the dark teal matte, 17 times since rolling it into this project, and I have used this light blue only 5 times. So I've definitely been neglecting 7 of 9. I feel like I have quite a big dip happening in Queen of Blades. I've used this as a liner a lot. I also have quite a big dip happening in You're My Only Hope, as well as Nova here. Really, there's dips happening in a number of the shades in this palette, so I'll be so pleased to have 2 pans showing in this palette, hopefully. If not, I can at least roll Queen of Blades out if I use it 20 5 times. So that is just 8 more uses to go, which doesn't feel too bad. But this is what the palette is looking like right now. No pans to share with you, but I'm hoping that you are able to see some progress being made. At the last update, I randomly generated an eyeshadow that was in my ABH Jackie Aina palette, which is just a happy coincidence because this is one of my focus palettes, because I have been told by many a panner that the ABH eyeshadows are really easy to pan. I really struggle with hitting pans in eyeshadows, but I'm happy to be working on this one. So this palette already does have one pan in the shade Trust Issues, and now I just saw a shadow in my peripheral vision that scared me. Now I am working on the shade Lituation up here, which is one of my favorite shades in this palette, even though it looks kind of like unassuming when I feel like my eye goes over here to these purples and pinks, but and actually doing looks, Sponsored and Lituation are probably my favorite shades in this palette. This is like a dark taupey shimmer. It has a purple kind of undertone to it. I think it's so gorgeous, perfect for smoky eyes, which I'm not doing that frequently, but I have reached for this palette 3 times. So I am still a long way off on this eyeshadow. I'm not sure if this will be one I'll successfully hit pan. I think this is going to be like a smoky lower lash line situation for me, because there's only so many smoky eyes that you can do on an everyday basis, which is a rare occasion for me. But I absolutely love this eyeshadow. I think it's so gorgeous. I know I wore it once on a date night and I really enjoyed that. So this one is nowhere close to rolling out, but that's okay. I'm really happy to be working on this palette. And that leads us to our rollout, which is the second randomly generated shade, and it came from my Glamlite Ice Cream Dream palette. I had so much fun working on this palette through the spring and summer months. I randomly generated the shade Pecan Praline here, which I have now used over 25 times in this project, and there is a huge dip happening in here. But I decided, especially since my Project Level Up has a neutral palette in it, that it was time for me to set this palette down, and we're in the fall months now, so I'm not as inspired to create looks from this palette at this moment. There is a big dip. I thought every use was like, okay, maybe tomorrow I will see a pan. I would love pans showing this palette because I feel like I've used this palette a lot. I have over 50 tracked uses on this palette as a whole. But yeah, it was just time to set it aside. I hope you can see, like, I definitely used this palette a lot. Over 25 uses on this shade right here since rolling it into this project, and maybe I'll be able to return to this palette another time and actually hit pan in it. But for now, I am happy to be rolling this out, and that means we are going to roll in another randomly generated shade, which always is exciting but kind of nerve-wracking at the same time. So I have in the numbers 1 to 1,308. I think my spreadsheet is pretty updated, but I guess we'll just see what we get. 440. So how I do my spreadsheet is going forward, the oldest numbers are at the top, and the palettes I'm just purchasing I add at the bottom. So like 1300 is the newest eyeshadows I have. So we are scrolling quite far up to 440. I don't know what this shade is, but I'm really nervous for this palette. I'm going to look on camera with you guys. So the palette that is within that range with 440 is the Beaute Nostalgia palette. Now I know that this palette has super vibrant, bright summer colors. There are a few neutrals in here. So the shade I'm looking for is the first shade, and it is called Beach. And I feel like in my mind's eye, it's kind of like peach smoothie-esque, like a colorful neutral that is quite light. I hope it's not like a fuchsia or something, which there definitely is in this palette. Okay, I got off easy. You see why I was nervous? It is this shade here. It's kind of like a yellowy brown, and actually this will go really well with my Project Level Up. I can use that as a transition shade. I think I'm going to dig out the shimmers. I really like them, but can you see those white bumps? The brand has told me, because I've reached out to them before, this is the third time it's happening. The brand has told me that that is just wax bloom. It only happens on the 3 shimmers in here. I don't know if I should just heat it up and or just like scrape it off, which I've done in the past, or I don't know. What do you think I should do with those? Because I'm definitely not putting those on my eyes how they look right now. Would you scrape them off and continue to use them, or just completely take out those shades? Because the mattes are still really good. I don't know. I'll wait to hear what you guys think. My finger's a little bit stained with the blue, but that is right here. It is slightly peachier than my skin tone. This will be a great transition shade. It's a bit too dark to be like a lid setting shade for my skin tone. But my goal on this will be, of course, to hit pan, or at least use it 25 times. I'm not sure which I will meet first. I don't know how deep that these pans are, and with this being so neutral, I feel like this is the best chance I have at hitting pan. Let me know what you would do with these wax bloomy shimmers. Would you take off the wax bloom, or would you just get rid of the eyeshadows completely? I am happy to have a new shade rolling in. We went from one really colorful eyeshadow palette to another, but that is what's fun about randomly generating shades, and this is my color story. I feel like this neutral will ground it a little bit, and otherwise it is very like gloomy, cold weather, kind of wintry, but you know, these shades will be sticking around till winter anyways. I'm really happy with how this is looking. But that is everything for my Pan Those Eyeshadows update. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up so that I know, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!